What is up, my dudes? My name is Nora and you are currently watching my channel. Sorry this is coming out a day late. I actually had a video for yesterday where I would share my Common App essay, but I decided to scrap it because I was watching it over. I realized I don't really want to share my Common App essay. It really was personal and kind of intimate to me, and I didn't feel comfortable putting it on the internet. But my general topic was just talking about changing the definition of what it means to be Polynesian, because growing up as a person of color, and I'm sure other people can relate to this, there's certain stereotypes set against you that I wrote about defying. So yeah, I hope that gives inspiration to someone out there. But instead of that video, I decided just to give tips, the best tips that helped me write the Common App essay that got me into 12 out of my 13 schools, including 2 Ivy Leagues and waitlisted at Harvard. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Tip number 1, do not try to write your whole life story. You have a 650 word limit and you cannot fit 18 years or 17 years worth of experience in those words, in that word limit. So do not try to. Instead, choose 1 or 2 qualities that you really want to show colleges about you, and then choose a story that exemplifies those qualities. Tip number 2, choose a story that can only be told by you. Do not go for cliche stories or any stories that are overly written about, especially because admission officers, they read thousands of these essays and they see hundreds of the same stories that will not make you stick out. For example, do not write about like broken bones, getting cut from a sport, mission trips, being a new kid, stuff like that, because these are things that kind of a ton of people experience. And although you might have developed a good quality from that story, like, you can definitely display that quality in something, in a story more unique. And the more wacky it is, just it brings more attention to you, which is good. And also, if it's something like a seemingly small moment but you still gain something from it, that tells the person reading your essay, that tells them something about you, that shows like you're learning lessons every single day, even from things that seem insignificant to other people. For example, in one of my supplemental essays, I wrote about my party trick in which I can clean a chicken wing whole. Let me give you an example. Pretty cool, yeah? Anyways, I talked about how despite people's negative reactions to this and telling me to stop, I still chose to pursue and develop this talent, and I related it to the overall theme of, in my life, I don't let other people's opinions and societal standards determine the goals I set for myself and what I want to do with my life. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool story. It's actually one of my favorite essays that I wrote. Yeah, just choose something like that. Or not like that, because it has to be unique to you. So you know what I mean. Just choose something, look at your life. There's probably a ton of crazy things that happen to you and you can make an essay out of it. Tip number 3, it's all in the details. This is kind of hard to do just because there's a 650 word limit, so you can't like go and draw every single scene with like excruciating detail, but you can make a point to make every single sentence and word count and make it, spice everything up. Like, don't just, you have to you've probably heard this a ton of times from your English teachers, but show, don't tell. You know, make it interesting for the reader, because the main point of your essay is to stand out and show admission officers something that you can't like find anywhere else in your application. And you shouldn't be able to find it anywhere else in your application, because it's bringing out a different side of you rather than just the mundane, like, oh, these are my numbers, these are my stats, these are my grades, etc. Like, this is your time to shine, so take the time to make everything seem like you're in the moment. Bring the reader into the story with you. For example, in my Common App essay, I talked about playing Goldilocks in my kindergarten play, despite being brown with black hair. And instead of just saying I walked onto stage and people were surprised I wasn't white, I instead described my dress, described my shoes, and described my hair, and then went on to say the crowd of parents were I absorbed the stares from the crowd of parents, and I wasn't typical Goldilocks. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's kind of confusing if you don't hear my essay, but that's just an example for you. Tip number 4, write first, revise later. I feel like this is a common issue for a lot of people, even me, in which I'm overly critical of what I write, and so I go back and delete it before I even finish like my complete thought process, which you do not want to do here. You want to write, just spill, like honestly, just have like a brain, I don't know, like spill all your thoughts, everything you want to say, and just write it all on paper. You do not, like, your first draft will not be perfect, so don't expect it to be. And this is what worked best for me. I just spilled like a bunch of different stories that I had and kind of made a lesson out of it. And then I went back and read through them. And then this is another side tip in this tip number 4. Every time you start a new draft, don't edit on your first draft. Make a new document, copy and paste, and then edit, because you want to be able to see them side by side. And something you delete from the first to second draft, you might want to bring back later in your 5th draft maybe, because this is what happened for me. I wrote my first draft and I wrote each time I opened a new Word document, and by the time I was on my 5th draft, I already had cut out a lot of stuff from like my 2nd and 3rd draft. But then I went back to my 1st draft and I was like, oh, this actually works better here. And I was able to take that idea that I had earlier, and it wasn't lost in the process of revision. So that's just a tip that I think would be helpful if you're having trouble bringing together pieces of ideas. And this leads to tip number 5, which is, I mean, it's similar, but revise, revise, revise. Like, your first draft will not be perfect. I promise you, it will not be the one. Because you're going to be revising so many times, you need to start your essay early. If you have not started your essay, boy, get on that. This is something I regret. I did not start my Common App essay till around this time or even later, and it was a struggle. Like, I couldn't really space out my revisions, and I ended up working on my essay all the way up to Christmas break, onto winter break, and I did not have fun during winter break because I was working on my college applications. So yeah, if you already started, good on you, but if you haven't started, get on it right now. When you are revising, it is good to get other people's feedback on it, especially adults or English teachers, because they can definitely help you with grammar and flow. And I do suggest getting friends' peer revisions on it, just because they are the same age as you and tend to have the same worldview. Not the same worldview, but kind of like they understand, they have the same, I don't know, they're on the same wavelength. So for me, I got like 3 adults on my paper and like 5 friends, which 5 friends is kind of overkill, because you do not, although you do want feedback from other people, you do not want too much feedback, because your voice could get lost and the story you're trying to portray could be disingenuous because you're having so many other people criticize your work. And just a tip, if you do not like a revision someone gives you, don't do it. This is not like for grammar or whatever, but like story wise, if someone tells you, oh, I don't think colleges would like to hear that, but you're like, no, this is a critical part of my essay and describes who I am, then keep it. You do not have to take other people's revisions and use it. Like, it's your paper, it's who you are. You do not need to let other people tell you how to write yourself. So yeah, revisions are important, but make sure it feels right. And honestly, you'll know when it feels right. Like, you'll revise, and then there's gonna just be one paper. It was magical for me, in which I was just like, yeah, this is the one. I feel this is the one. And although it might not seem perfect to other people, if it feels perfect to you, then you'll know. Tip number 6. Don't try to write what you think colleges want to hear. Once again, your voice will become disingenuous and it won't really describe who you are. Honestly, the admission officers will be able to tell that you're writing for them rather than you're writing about yourself. They'll be able to tell that your voice is not yours. It's like a character of you trying to appeal to the colleges, which you shouldn't do anyways, because if the college is not accepting you for you, then why would you even want to go there? Just honestly be unapologetically you, and if colleges don't like it, then that's on them. They're the ones missing out. Cough Harvard, cough Stanford. And also, it won't convey anything special about you, which the whole point of the essay is to show what makes you different. Tip number 7. That's not a real gun. I don't know if this is highly suggested by others, but this is what worked for me. Don't write your essay with a you can have like Common App. The Common App gives you like 7 prompts to choose from, and then you write under it. But I don't think you should write with any specific prompt in mind. Just have like knowledge of what your general idea should be, and then write your essay and then see which one it fits under afterwards. Because if you're trying, I think that it's just a tip to make the process easier, because instead of trying to like gear your essay towards a question, you're actually just writing freely and genuinely from yourself. I say genuine too much, oh my gosh. Once you write your essay, you will find that it fits under one of the topics, because they are rather broad, and you can use the topic for inspiration. But yeah, I don't know if you would want to do that, but that's just how my brain was able to comprehend it, and it allowed me to be write a better essay, just because I wasn't looking to directly answer a certain one. Other people might disagree, but it's whatever. Also, if it happens to land under a topic that's more obscure and not commonly used, that's better, because once again, it's making you stand out, makes you unique. So my Common App essay answered reflect on a time when you question an idea or belief, which I think is not one of the more common ones. So that worked out well for me. And tip number 8. This is the last tip for today. If you want to hear more, definitely comment below. But okay, so tip number 8, how to outline your essay. This is my suggestion and won't be too in-depth, just because there are a lot of structures out there that people follow, but this is one that I think is a general like good rule of thumb. The way I modeled my essay was after General Conference talks. So if you don't know, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and General Conference talks are like, General Conference is, you can just go watch my last video, but General Conference is a meeting where like prophets and apostles give speeches, but like talks. And the way they do it and the way I wrote my essay was start out in a moment, like in a story, very close up, and like this is where you draw your reader in, because that's your interesting story. And then you end it kind of on a cliffhanger, and then you broaden out and you introduce what you're actually going to be addressing in your essay, and then you funnel to a conclusion. So then, I mean, it's kind of like a typical essay. You have your introduction, and then you give out the different points. It's not gonna be like a introduction, 3 paragraphs, conclusion, but it's gonna be kind of like you go here, and then you go back, and you go here, and then you go here, and then you go here, and then you go back, until it all comes to it. That wasn't helpful, I'm sorry. And my dog is barking, oh my gosh. Shh. Sorry. It all funnels into a conclusion, in which you have your conclusion, but in it you go back to the and then you funnel down until you reach your main point. And then when you come back to the main point, you then relate it back to the story at the beginning, and you end the story, and it just it works all together. It's a whole conclusion, blah 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 blah. I don't know if that was even helpful for you. So what I did to prepare for my essay was just listen to a bunch of General Conference talks, and it gave me an idea of how like I wanted to model my essay. So yeah, that's all the tips I have for you today. I definitely could come up with more, so if you want a part 2, leave a comment below and give this video a like. And just overall, I feel like the best essays have a message greater than "look at me and my accomplishments." It reaches down to bigger issues you're concerned about, displays qualities that the admission officers can't find elsewhere in your app, and hint towards what you contribute at their university. And here's a little plug for a business I want to start reviewing essays. I believe it's on the cheaper side compared to other businesses, but also I'm just starting out, so I don't want to charge too much. As I get more experience, my prices will go up. So send me your essays while my prices are low. My qualifications: I like English. I'm planning on majoring in it. I took English honors. I wrote over 40 essays for college applications, got into 12 out of my 13 schools, including 2 Ivy Leagues. I peer review for my sister, that counts. If you want me to review your essay, it would be around $30 for essay. Just DM me on Instagram at nora.sugu for more details, which I will give you my Venmo and my email that you would send the essay to. And comment below your favorite tips for writing essays, what video you want to see next, and make sure to subscribe. See you next time.